further ado, Mike Bennewitz. Is our in for a treat.
Well, I'm glad you did all this. The 10-4, I thought I was going to have to go over that. Kind of get started. I want as much interaction as possible. Okay, don't be afraid to ask questions. Okay, because that's how we're going to learn. Okay, I just ask that you keep your comments short enough where everybody can share. Okay, so ask questions. We go back a little bit. Some of you know, she shared a little bit about. Could share a little bit about me. I was in the grocery business for 39 years. I guess I couldn't stick out the last year for 40 because I would have got some kind of ring or something, right? But, kind of motivated me. I just couldn't do it anymore, and I wanted to pursue my real estate business, so I couldn't wait that extra year for 40 years because I wanted to really get into my real estate business. I had started 12 years earlier. I was working at Albertsons full-time, store director. Store directors usually put in 40 to 60 hours a week. Okay, it's very demanding. You got a lot of bosses. The customers are your boss, and then you got corporate people who are your bosses. So didn't have a whole lot of time with the real estate world. But I was really good at, I don't know if I should use the word multitasking because the one thing says there's no such thing, right? Yeah, I did manage my time well, okay? So I would sometimes run out, lunchtime, show houses. I would go to listing appointments on my lunch. I would go to listing appointments in the evening on days off. I would just be able to manage my time. And even then, I was pretty much doing probably between 100 and 150,000 GCI alongside of being a full-time store director for Albertsons. Okay, a lot of takeaways in the grocery business. Learn customer service. That is number one thing with Albertsons. They drill that into you. I went to multiple seminars and educational things, so I know that well. Okay. So I was able to take away a lot of those things. A little bit, kind of me personally, I'm married, been married for 36 years. We've known each other for 41 years, so quite a long time. 2 kids, 2 grandkids, and I'm active in our church. I lead the Neighborhood Impact House. So busy man. I do some stuff. Also, just recently we started took on the feeding people out in the desert. Started doing that. We do have a KW Cares meeting, so if anybody's interested in that, please come. It's always announced at the meeting. So I try to be involved in other things. Okay. It's not really about getting more customers on that part of it. I just feel you feel fulfilled when you're helping other people. Okay, but alongside you do get the benefit. I've gotten multiple listings and business from other things, whether it's the grocery business or I'm the president of the board of directors at Grace Resource Center. Gotten multiple listings and buyers and sellers from that. So there is some benefits that come along with it. So I'm sure you've read or seen, be involved, get out there. If you're sitting at home, you're not going to get to meet anybody. So I encourage you to do that.
So what do you do in your spare time?
That actually, serving is kind of my spare time thing. I feel that I've been called to serve, and that's what I like to do. So I do that in my spare time. My favorite thing is to hang out with the grandkids. 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and that's my boy. So I watch them every Thursday all day, and that's more exhausting than real estate. I'll time they leave, you're glad they left. So, that's kind of enough about me. Again, like I said, I encourage your involvement in class because we're going to learn together. I've taught the Ignite. I think this is my third or fourth time teaching the Ignite. And I always do the seller portion, okay? And I think you're going to find a lot of benefits out of that because one thing I do know about sellers, okay, that's the lifeblood of your business. You get listings, that's almost a guaranteed paycheck. As long as you do your job, it's a guaranteed paycheck. So before we get started, though, I was instructed. I think on this 10-4 deal here, you guys have to make your calls for 20 minutes, right?
We don't
So,
do that.
huh?
Don't do that.
Well, I went down PowerPoint, and I've done the classes 4 times, so I remember that. So let me tell you a little bit about lead generating. I'm finishing the MRA book. Probably the 4th time I've read it. Reading the Shift book, probably the 3rd time. These are all Keller Williams books, okay? At first when I saw this book, man, this guy's just trying to sell something, but I'm telling you, read the books. And it's starting to be my New Year's resolution. I pick those books up and I read them for the month of December and January. It's a little bit slower in December and it starts picking up in January, so I got a little extra time and to reread those books. I read them every year, okay, just to get my mind around. And I learn something, kind of like the Bible, you pick something up and you learn something you didn't know before, And we'll be sharing some of the information on that, okay? But I encourage you, whether you don't have to read all 3, but at least read that. I'm sure a lot of you probably do have the book, MREA book. I would encourage you to read that. Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Right?
Millionaire.
We call it the MREA book.
It's
Okay?
red, it's out there.
Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Okay?
And they have them here, and they're $15.
Yeah.
So don't do what I do and order a Keller Williams book on Amazon and pay twice as much for it.
I ordered all 4 actually.
Yeah. You'll get some of this stuff, and so you don't get discouraged reading it. Some of it talks about teams. Okay, you might not be at that level. Okay, but I encourage you first about lead generating and about sellers and all those things are great information. Okay, and I think this is why I'm rereading the book so many times. Because at first, when I got the book, when I first started Keller Williams 12 years ago, and I read it, I said, I'm playing. I don't have a team. I don't have this, but a lot of the other stuff did. So I kind of threw it in the corner, and then I picked it up again later. I encourage you to read it, now. Okay, and like I said, don't get discouraged. It talks about the financial part, how to invest your money or reinvest your money after you close a deal, okay, that type of thing. So anyway, so we're going to give you 20 minutes, okay? So I will we'll get back at 1:45, okay? And we'll start the class up, all right? So go ahead and make your calls. Lead generating, I actually have it on my calendar every day, a minimal of 2 hours, 9 to 11 every day, 5 days a week.
Call calling?
I do a lot of follow-up. Okay, seller. I don't. I'll talk about that later a little bit. Okay. I focus on the people that like warm leads that are already interested in real estate. Okay. So you don't want to drop those. Okay. The people that have expressed that they would like to sell or buy. And then also database. Don't want to ignore the database. And then after that, pretty much, I've done a lot of door knocking, done pretty much everything you guys probably have done, okay? And tell you what works for me and what doesn't work for me, okay? Okay, everybody make their calls?
Yeah, that's sweet.
We're going to go ahead and watch this video and then we'll get right into it, okay?
You gave us a little more time, man.
Pardon me?
It's been 20 minutes.
That's
We need more
45.
time.
Time should pass.
The fact is, the people you know the people are going to know you, whether it's at church, school, work, friends, relatives.
You make it louder?
No, I'm going in here.
It doesn't go any louder.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it, because all the speakers are right there.
But renaming your job selling homes successfully in your market. And then with that, the people who look at you, that the entire material that they use and encourage you. Step two, focus on area, product, or pricing. When you develop mastery of the product or area, you will much more quickly succeed in those areas. And in that area, or in that product or price range, focus on the big boat in that area, the expires in that area, door knock in that area, geographic thought in that area. And I'm talking area. So that the people in that
Everybody tells me this is how it goes.
identify with someone who can help them sell property for top dollar with low hassle and a short amount of time. Now we're at number three. Everyone today that's looking at hiring an agent, whether it's a referral, even a chance client, or a stranger who's gotten named somehow, they're going to check you out on the web. So you need to make sure that your website is competent, that you've got basic, powerful content in there, and specifically when the landing page is a very open page, there is a direct offering to a seller. Find out what your home is worth, get a guy who's selling your home. But if you don't do that, you're going to miss opportunities because people will get your name, check your website out, and go, oh, I don't think so. I've seen a lot better site. Fix your website. With a database which you are working on a consistent basis, and with a tight focus, you build your reputation. If you're visible, you will find you will take over many more listings in a very short amount of time, 12 to 24 months. You will own that market. That's how you take market share.
Okay.
That's an Ignite on here, so we can see it later
Right,
too.
right. Yeah, you can go back onto your website and watch that video. So, how many here have a database? Pretty much all of you. How many of you actually feed the database and call at least 4 times a year? How many touches are you supposed to make on a database? Anybody have any idea?
That 33?
It's actually 36 touch now.
36?
So 36 touch, right. So, 36 touch would be mail outs. Maybe you send them a newsletter, right, once a month. Send them information or property value information on their property. Email once a month, right? Call them 4 times a year, or you invite them, you invite them out for coffee, or you invite them to sometimes a function. Like we have the Jet Hawks deal, okay, so that would be a good thing. But the main thing on database, I actually, when I first started, I put everybody I knew in the grocery business, which I ran 4 different stores and started putting all those people in. But I was very hesitant when I was still in the grocery business, to really even market to those people, because I got called on the carpet a couple times. The corporate office came down, HR came down, they questioned me, what I was doing, marketing to people in the grocery business. Is that a conflict of interest? Luckily, it really wasn't a conflict of interest, because there were 2 different kinds of businesses. One was a retail business, and the other one was real estate business. So, but anyway, I started growing the database, and especially when I got out of the grocery business, I started putting more and more people into that database and started feeding it. And then, I look back, I did 60 deals last year, and probably about more than half of them were from the database. Okay, so you definitely, it's worth your while to increase that database, okay, your sphere. And like I was mentioning earlier, some of the best things that you can do is get involved in different community events, whether whatever you like to do. I mean, they've got different clubs, you look on Facebook, they've got different clubs for just about anything, right? I've got a four-wheel drive truck, and they have clubs for that, right, four-wheeling? So, start to get to know people and put those people in your database, okay? Because that can turn into business. So,
How many people in your sphere of influence?
I've got close to 500, yeah, so, and, you know, some I see more than others, you know? I wish I could tell you that I call every one of those people, you know? Sometimes I might only call them twice a year, okay? But I give it my best effort to try to touch them in some way, you know.
So when do you call them? Christmas and New Year?
Think about breaking down the year quarterly, you know?
Okay.
Like January through March and April through May, and then June through August and September, or through September, and then October, November, December. So, but you know, the biggest thing, an obstacle that I had to overcome is when you call them, you've got to have a purpose to call them more. You know, you can't just get especially if you haven't talked to that person in a while, and it's hard to talk to somebody and just say, hey, you know, the reason I'm calling you is because I want to know if you want to do some real estate business, right? And you don't want them to think that either, you know, because especially if they're friends or someone that you got to know. So you got to be very careful on how you talk to those people, okay? Because you don't want to be a turnoff either. So I struggle with that constantly, you know. What would be the reason called? It's something of value, right? If you're inviting them to the Jethawks game, you know, that's a good reason call, right? You break that down. I mean, you call the holiday time, you know, wish them happy holidays. You know, it's not always just about, you know, real estate. You know, have a reason to call those people. Because if you just call them, hi, how you doing? Hey, you know if anybody wants to buy or sell real estate? No. And pretty soon, that's going to be a turnoff, right? They're going to dread your call.
When you send like Christmas cards, let's say, to those, I think it's okay to do business card or just like something that I thought about, you just wanted to wish you.
I think, you know, most of those people already know what you do, okay? So I would just make it personal, you know, make it personal. We'll talk a little bit more as we get into like script. The biggest thing I'll tell you, I'm going to talk and we'll, like some of these we're going to hit on again and again. Scripts. I know you guys have heard that over and over. To be honest with you, I have never done a script until I actually got into real estate full time, which was like 2 years ago. Okay, never did a script. But as I started getting more and more business and really focused on it and started becoming full time, last year I went to a family reunion, and one of the old coaches, I don't know, you know, can't remember her last name. Her first name is Michelle. Used to be a coach here, and she goes, you know, how many deals I closed? I think 50 deals. She goes, you need to get a coach. I said to get to the next level, you know. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna, you know, lay down $1,000 every month for a coach that I talk to for a half an hour a week. You know?
Who's your coach?
Brad Baldwin. He's a mastery coach. But I said, you know what? And you can't just get into coaching and, well, I don't like it, you know. That's the end of that. No, you're committed for a year with the mastery coaching.
Is it worth it?
Yes, it really is. Because it makes, well, it gets you, sometimes you're uncomfortable doing things, but it helps you overcome that, you know, it kind of puts that pressure on you, you know, to get the job done.
Right.
Because you don't want to fail or call the guy the next week and go, well, I didn't do anything you told me to do, right?
Right.
So,
Piano lessons.
yeah, exactly. So it's been worth it to
But
me.
that wasn't something, Mike, that you did right from John
No,
Street.
no.
I mean, this is
No.
something that you kind of worked your way into. I mean,
Right.
a lot of us, as we started in the real estate business, and I know this was a huge obstacle for me, is that, it's me. I rely on my own income and my own, resources. I don't get Social Security, disability, a pension check or anything like that, and I don't have a husband, okay? So it's me.
Right.
That's who supports me.
Right.
And so $1,000 a month for coaching is, it's, okay, do we eat or do I get a coach?
So you gotta remember, this real estate, I started off, there's stages, there's steps, okay? And, if you're closing 5 deals a year, I would not advise you to get a real estate coach. You gotta get all the basics down. You progress,
Right,
okay, into the next level.
right.
When you get, like I hit a ceiling, I thought, when I did 50 transactions, okay? I wanna get, my goal, I wanted to go from 50 to 100.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
Big jump.
and probably a little too lofty. That was my crazy goal.
It's too
you know?
weak.
Yeah. So I ended up doing 60. Okay, but that coach helped me get to the 60, which was the 60 was 470,000 GCI, which is quite a bit of money.
Right,
Because of the prices going up, and But what I've noticed some other agents, in talking to them. Some of the top 10 agents, and I talk to all and get their input, a lot of them, it's almost, they take a step back and then leap forward. Sometimes you have to take a step back to leap forward, right? And I'm glad I was able to increase, but I learned so much over the year, where I think
You mean the last year or over the
last
years?
year.
Oh,
Well, you learn, real estate is a learning experience all the way through. But that last year, having a coach, helped me, I think, set me up for this year even better. I think this month I've already taken 8 listings in January. So I think, hopefully I don't use that word, hopefully throughout the rest of the year.
How long were you part-time prior to?
I was part-time 9 years.
9 years, wow.
Yeah. And I close between an average of 12 to 20 homes a year, being part-time. It's kind of nice, and it actually helped set me up to be able to quit Albertsons, because I was making $150,000 a year being store director with bonus checks.
That's hard to
It
quit.
wasn't easy to leave.
Yeah.
And it's something that you've done for 39 years of your life, you can just say bye, full medical, bonus, pretty much a first job, and you just go, see ya. I'm gonna go to real estate where my paycheck's not guaranteed.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of people in the real estate business that are going, you're nuts.
Yeah.
Why do that? I mean, why go from a sure thing to, you really have to have a lot of confidence.
Like I said, setting yourself up is creating that confidence over the years, knowing that, okay, anything happens, I close on an average of 12 to 20 deals, I know I can at least get that much. So I created that confidence in me to be able to do that, okay? So, but anyway, getting back to scripts, there's so many little things that I learned with the coaching, and some of these things I'll obviously share with you. Scripts are extremely important, okay? There's some of the scripts, in fact, the ones that I was looking through this morning, I was coming back from putting the lockbox on, I think it was Little Rock, so I get a call, it was a lead call, okay, so I'm pulling over, get in the gas station, and I'm talking to this gal that wants to sell her house, and she'd already had a bunch of agents call her. Said, nah, you know what, I've already got 3 agents, I don't want another appointment. Luckily, I was already doing my scripts, right? My objection script. I've already found another agent, okay? And I pretty much use a script, and I'm horrible at scripts. And I need to be more, that's one of my goals for the year, is to be more consistent practicing your scripts. But,
Where are we at?
I'm just doing my own thing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get back on course here. I'd rather share our own experiences, okay? I'll be on the script, I'll tell you about listing presentation, everything else, but, I mean, we learn more about our own experiences and what happens than just going through a book and reading.
Right, absolutely.
But anyway, so I pull over, and I'm at a gas station. This lady tells me, you know what, I don't want another agent come to my house, you know. Luckily, that a week or two prior, the coach tells me, you need to work on your scripts, and I want you to work on objection scripts. So I'm looking at the one, script number 4, this is on the bold training. I've already found another agent. So immediately, because this was close to mine, I've already been, you know, pre-programmed, this sucker came right into my mind, and I said, look, you know, great, I would like to apply for the job to sell your house, you know? And I kind of went in and I said, you know, it's always good to get another agent's opinion, right? So I was able to get in the house, okay, it was a listing for $500,000, it was up in
That's a nice check.
yeah, Rancho Vista. And then I gave her my presentation. She was so impressed with my presentation, I had to use another script. Well, you know, I've got these other agents, okay, that are coming, and said, you know what? Another script. I'll call the other agents for you, you know, and cancel the appointment. And let me tell you, on the way out, and she ended up signing the contract right there with me, okay?
Did you call the client? Did you call the agent?
Oh, yeah, I called the other agent, she had an appointment, and so I called her up, I said, look, you know, I want to tell you that I already got the signed contract, she signed with me this point. She goes, oh my, I mean, she's screaming on the phone.
This is another agent?
Yeah. So I go, I'm very sorry, and he goes, you know, I canceled my, she was in Las Vegas, says I got an early flight to come home on Sunday, and this was Saturday, to meet with this lady. And I said, well, I'm sorry, you know, I already have the contract signed.
You didn't say snooze, you lose?
No, I was trying to be really pleasant and nice about it. But bottom line, the main thing I want you to get out of this is when you know your scripts and you're close to mine, and when you have that objection, that's what it's for. Okay, you know what you can say. If I didn't have those scripts in my head, that listing probably would have been gone. Okay, and as it was like a $15,000 commission check. Okay, that I would have never got. And it was just about those 2 scripts that I was kind of going over and over, you know. And
what did you say when she said, oh, I already have so many agents?
well, and she goes, no, she told me I like what you had to say, but you know what, I've got more appointments. I said, you know what, if you like, I'll cancel those other appointments for you, I'd be glad to call them. She goes, you will do that? I said, sure. And I mean, I didn't really want to, but I did. Yeah. So as soon as we left, she signed the contract. As soon as we left, we got right on the phone and started calling. You know, so. But anyway, I want to be all over the place.
So which one, that script is? Which script is in bold?
I can give you copies of it. Yeah, it's in the whole. You can get it on the online.
I have a listing presentation on Monday evening, and she was actually, her husband had actually called another Keller Williams agent, and they had taken over the listing agreement and everything, and so she was referred to me, and so I called her, and I had, you know, done a little bit of research first, you know, Anyway, I got the appointment Monday night, and we're setting the listing this afternoon.
Right.
So, but you know, that was a hard one. It's like, and when you're going to a listing presentation and you're up against somebody in your own office, it's like, you know, you never want to disparage another realtor.
Yes, you do.
Well,
No, but, and I said, you know, either way, the choice is yours, but this is what I have is, you know, 27 years of experience and whatever, and.
you know, and that kind of brings me into the next thing that we're going to talk about. I'm going to skip the video since we can't hear it anyway.
Mike's supposed to come in and turn it up, I asked him.
Well, if he does, he does.
And
Let me
he
go.
did actually, he
I
came,
think
so
We did?
you might wanna.
Oh, he came in already?
I saw him picking something.
Oh, wow.
We'll check out, there's only one more video, but let me, so, how do we get customers, okay? Of course, you know, the leads, we talked about databases, there's Zillow, there's Trulia, there's people that you meet, you know, out in the workforce, if you have another job, you know, there's all kinds of lead sources. But how are these people gonna do business with you?
Gotta know who you are, that you're in business.
Well, let me tell you, and I'm still learning this, okay, because a lot of times you think, okay, I go into a listing presentation and, you know, sometimes you get this big fat head, oh, I closed 60 deals, I'll sell your house, I'm a better realtor than anybody out there, type of thing, right? People don't care.
No, they don't.
They do not care how successful you are, how great of an agent you are. You know, a lot of times you'll get you'll get a call from, you know, there are certain agents out there that have signs all over, you know, like Maxie Case, for instance, you know, she gets business probably just because her signs, you know. But people don't really care how successful you are. They want to do business with somebody they know, like, and trust, period. Okay? That's the number one thing. I'm sure, you know, I've won some listings with the presentation, okay, because you're going to go into certain listing presentation not knowing the people altogether, okay? But it's important that you establish a rapport with these people, even in short notice, okay? You can have a listing appointment this afternoon. What are you going to do about it? You know, I mean, how are you going to prepare yourself? How are you going to get that? How are you going to prove to them that you're worthy to sell their home?
Well, I think
And you don't even know them.
Yeah, I think product knowledge is probably, you know, the best, you know.
Right. Okay, so,
And I certainly wouldn't go into a listing appointment and say, I can sell your house and this is the reason why, because these are the comps and whatever. I would definitely build a rapport with them first.
So, know, like, and trust, okay? What are some of the resources we can use to be able to connect with people?
Facebook, social media.
Okay, so I'll give you some examples. I went into a listing appointment and the guy told me afterwards, I mean, he listed with me and he said, and I went into the listing appointment knowing that he was the store director for Party World. Okay, it's a retail business, okay? So when I went in there, you know, I shared my experience that I was a store director at Albertsons, I was in the retail business, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you kind of do a little exit interview later on down the road, you know, after you sold, hey, why did you list with me? I always try to find out, why did you list with me? You know, what was it? Because, well, we had something in common. We had the retail business in common.
Relational.
Yeah, relational. So how are we going to find that out? The other one, I remember this guy was a district manager for TJ Maxx. And he wasn't really on Facebook. I couldn't tell anything about him that he actually worked at TJ Maxx, other than when he emailed me, his email said TJ Maxx. So, you know, I said, so I kind of asked him, I said, oh.
Situational awareness.
Yeah. So I asked him, said, so where do you, oh yeah, I'm a district manager for TJ Maxx. So I told him, and we had that in common.
Right.
Okay? So, you want to find something that you can relate, you guys can relate together, to connect together, okay? And, you know, obviously, a lot of times it's not going to be all that obvious that you're going to be able to connect. But I would do that first off, okay? See what you can find out about that person, okay? What other things, because we're going to get into the listing presentation, we're kind of like pre-listing, okay? What other things can we do to get ready?
Comp,
Before the
Okay,
presentation.
comps, right? All the basic stuff.
school, you know, if they're a family, they might want to know the school district, you know.
Okay,
Title report?
Pardon me?
Title report?
yep, you can do a poll. Does everybody have access
Property profile.
to a property profile report? Can you guys all do that? You guys know, right? From Fidelity or any of the
Ask the
Chicago?
title rep to send you a
pre-listing prelim. That way you can check the background of the property, because title going online, for us, it only gives you a certain amount of information, but if you ask your title rep, it'll give you the entire profile, and make sure that there's no liens and things like that.
Okay, what are the things?
Take a look on their social media.
Okay, right?
Your
Pardon me?
marketing.
I'm still in here.
A net sheet.
Net sheet,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Your marketing.
Tells you what they're gonna get when they sell.
Right, know your market. Do you know your market? Do you know, is, obviously you should know, at least know it's a seller's market or a buyer's market, right?
Well, right now, we're definitely in a buyer's market. Well,
That's
both,
definitely-
actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're,
not a
the
buyer's
seasonality of the market, right? Right when you go into GABAR, or the Flex, right at the very bottom, you have all your stats for the entire running year. Absorption rate, okay? Does anybody know what an absorption rate is?
Yes.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand, pretty much, right?
Oh, okay.
So
And
no
nothing
one
else
ever
came on the
lists
market
another
until
property,
how long
and
to
say
sell
how
it.
long to get rid of the rest of the inventory.
6.5 months.
That's really what it is. They say if there's more than 3 to 3.5 months of inventory left, it becomes a buyer's market. I think we're at, what, 900 listings right now, right? So, you guys, those are all the basics that come in every month, those numbers are updated. You should know those numbers, you should know what's going on. Yes.
And also, it depends on what they wanna do, so when they ask you, you're not supposed to tell them what is actually happening, but just say it depends what you wanna do. They wanna sell, invest,
Right.
so.
So, the other thing I kind of skipped, one of the things that, going into a listing presentation, you want to be prepared. You want to be mentally prepared. Okay. Every day, I have a certain routine. In fact, I was watching a thing on Tom Ferry today. Okay, about his morning routine. He has like a weekly thing that he posts, a video thing. I advise you to look at that if you can. It's like 15 minutes. Okay? But, so every day, I pretty much do the same thing. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I read, meditate. I do just a normal routine to get this right. Mindset right.
Would you send a listing presentation that we have, ahead of time before you go for your appointment?
I actually have taken it to the people's houses, okay?
And drop them off?
Drop it off.
What's that?
Like,
Yeah, the listing presentation. And
Like was delivered?
I'll go over kind of my package. I have it, I actually printed it out in here, but I would drop it off. A lot of times, people don't even look at their email half the time, so, did you look at my email? I'll go into listing, oh no, they didn't see it, So, if you know there's a bunch of people that you're competing with, if this is a friend of yours and you're pretty sure you're gonna get the listing, you're probably okay not to have to drop out the presentation, but most of the time you're in competition with other agents, right? So I would drop off a nice package, okay, to their
so
home.
like it's been delivered or?
Well, you can do it however you want. You can do it FedEx, you can do it Uber, you could drop it off yourself, however you decide to do it.
A day?
Drop it off.
Yeah.
So they can look at it, and then you go back.
I would do it as soon as possible. Even if you have an appointment at the end of the week and it's only Monday, I would do it as
And
soon
let
as
them
possible.
know, I just sent you a package, you should get it
Yeah, yeah.
or,
Yeah,
Oh, I see, then it's basically, let's say, half hour of the
Yeah.
listing presentation.
Yeah.
That's taken care of, you don't have to go to that.
you got any questions, you can still skim over, but at least they have, pretty much know what's going on with the listing presentation, right? So anyway, getting back to the mindset, okay? You wanna make sure that your head is in the game, okay? Mindset is really, really crucial, okay? And I'm a firm believer that, does anybody do affirmations?
Yes.
Affirmations work, I don't know what to tell you, it's kind of like when you goal set, put a goal out there at the beginning of the year, this is what you want to achieve. you know, and you focus on that. You've got to have some kind of goals and focus on that, okay? Let me see if we got this last video. If it doesn't work, then we'll continue to go through, okay? Is that better?
Hi, I'm Josh Gaff from Vancouver, Canada. I've been selling for 8 years and been selling real estate for 18 years. Now I'm going to walk you through my listing presentation, and it's a 3-step process. The first part is preparation, the second part is presentation, and the third part is follow-up. A lot of my listings come by way of referral and repeat. And so when the call comes in and they want me to come over and list their home, I have a conversation about what their needs are. What exactly is it you're looking to do? Are you moving up? Are you moving down? I have them tell me exactly what the reasons are that they're selling for. I get a real sense of exactly everything that they want to sell. One of the things that we've done to make my appointment setting a little easier is we've time blocked. We follow what Gary says. He says time block everything that you do. And we've time blocked our slots in advance for listing appointments. Every day, Monday to Friday. We have a slot available at 4 o'clock and a second slot available at 5:30. So I've got a potential of 10 listing appointments Monday to Friday. That makes my life a lot easier because I'm able to time block my lead generation first thing in the morning and not have my day so loose and scattered, so I'm trying to scramble on where to put a listing appointment. What we do now in our team is we've decided to go paperless with our evaluations, our CMAs. So instead of printing off paper, what we'll do is we'll take it on the computer and convert it to PDF, mark it up with a highlighter from there on the computer, and then create an email from that, email that package off to our client prior to going out to their home to list it. What I do when I go on a listing presentation is I meet the sellers at the door, and I have them take me on a tour of the property. During that time, I'm actually asking them to tell me again, to recap again, what their motivation is for selling. So I'm getting them more comfortable with them moving out of their house is what I'm doing. That usually takes about 5 minutes. And when we're done there, we transition right over to the kitchen table. We'll talk about the market, the evaluation itself, and that in itself is about 15 minutes. Once we've agreed upon a price that we're going to list at, we'll sign a listing contract. They sign the initial 3-page contract. They sign the property disclosure statement, and they sign the working with a realtor brochure. Outside of those 3 documents, that's it. I send in my measuring company to come in and measure the home. I send in my stager who's going to contact them to come in and stage the home. And once she's done, then I send in a photographer and take the photos of the home. We always do a follow-up with them as well, just to say, how did that go? What was that experience like for you? Keeps them feeling like they're in control and very much a part of the process, and it lets them know that we're paying attention to every detail on their listing prior to it even being on the market. One of the expectations that I set with the sellers is that I phone them twice a week on purpose. So I set their expectation for me to phone them on Monday mornings with what's called a Monday morning update, where I review everything that's happened for their home over the past weekend with them. The second call that I set them up for to expect is on Fridays, and that's a Friday morning market update. And what I've set them up for is that I'm going to talk to them about any new listings that have hit the market, any expires that have come off the market, and any solds that have actually just happened since that past week. They also know that on Friday, we're going to be talking about the numbers. Does the current list price that we're at right now still make sense in relation to the latest listings or the most current solds? They know in advance that that conversation could lead to a price reduction, and a lot of times, they bring that on themselves. They say, hey, look, you know what, it looks like we might be a bit high, Josh. Should we bring it down? So it's a natural transition to a price reduction. One of the reasons I choose not to do a pre-listing package is when I'm sitting in front of them, I really want their full focus and attention. I want their attention on me, and I want to be able to ask them questions where they're giving me their full attention and not flipping through a pre-listing package. Most of their questions are going to come straight from the gut, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm Josh Gaff, and I just shared my listing presentation with you, and I wish you all the best with yours.
All right. So, one of the things, when I was doing these dual jobs, managing the grocery store and doing real estate, I had very few buyers, okay, that I actually work with. And I probably couldn't have done as well, okay, because I mean, obviously buyers take time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, when I did have buyers, you know, it'd be lunchtime, after work, you know, on days off, that type of thing. Listings, I was able to leverage my time a lot better, okay? When I was taking listings, I wasn't advertising that I was a store manager for Albertsons Supermarket. Some people knew, some people know, and some people didn't, you know. It's not like I was trying to hide it, but I felt like I would have had sometimes an unfair chance, you know, to sell or to be able to get the listing, okay? Just, I mean, would you hire a part-time agent, you know, because I think some of you probably got that question before. Are you a full-time agent, you know, if you're going for an interview, right? And a lot of times that just shuts people down, okay? So listings provide more exposure, okay? Listings also bring buyers, and here's an aha that I learned. In fact, I was reading the MREA book, and my coach was telling me, and you know, when you're in the seller's market, and last year I listed 49 properties, okay? But I always took pride in, I got these suckers in escrow in like 3 days. I didn't have to spend any marketing dollars. You know, I didn't have to do anything. But you know what? I was actually missing the boat, big time, okay? Because if the MREA book talks about leveraging those listings and advertising those listings to get more buyers or even more sellers, okay? So you have this perfect marketing vehicle, okay? You have your signs, and I started changing that as well. I started putting, I thought, oh, that's expensive, you know, these guys are putting 2 and 3 signs for one house, right? So now I've got, you know, directional arrows and like I'll have a couple of them there I have on Avenue L pointing down the street to get to my other listing, okay? So I'm actually trying to leverage my listings to get more buyers or even sellers, okay? And that was a misconception that I had. You know, I thought, man, I got it into escrow quick, it made blah blah money, and I didn't have to spend a ton of money on advertising. You know, but the seller didn't care because they're in escrow. You know, they sold their house in record time. You know, so.
Question about those signs. I see a lot of signs on vacant land. Do you have to get anybody's permission to put that in there? I'm sure you do, but.
Well, to be honest with you,
Okay.
you probably should.
Right.
I mean, not saying that I do, okay? But when, you know, the worst thing they can call and tell you, you know, get your sign, which I had a call in Roseman, said, you didn't ask permission. You know, I'll try to find out who it is. You know, but a lot of times you just can't get the information. If they tell you to get your sign off, okay, I'll get my sign off, you know. Big deal.
So you don't get
Sometimes-
fined?
No, by who's gonna find me?
Thank you, that's a great observation.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess they could, they could report you to the sheriff or something. What are they gonna do about it? Other than tell you to get your sign off, you know? I mean.
Well, and most people don't put their own signs out there, you usually have a sign company do it, so I always blame it. Oh, I'm sorry, my sign company did that? I'm sorry, I'll have them remove it right away.
And do you need those little stickers from the city as well, when you put those signs, those little stickers? You know, they ask us to put the little stickers on the open house signs. But what about those signs that actually goes into the ground?
Right.
Or south sign?
Yeah.
Do you need those little stickers on there too?
Only in Palmdale.
Only in Palmdale.
Okay.
I've never had them in Palmdale. I've never put the stickers on the actual for sale signs.
No, the
No,
open
I'm
house.
not even
So,
the sign. I know the open
No.
house sign.
the open house signs,
And now the open house signs are all different.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, so you have leverage there. I mean, if you're focusing on listings, you know, it's less time spent, okay? I mean, you obviously have to sell the property, and you obviously have to advertise, but leverage that, you know, that listing that you have, you know, do the open houses. In fact, my coach told me yesterday, I want to see you do 3 open houses a week, okay? And your team, I have a team, I want them to do 3 open houses each, okay? The other thing that we do is we door knock around the entire neighborhood.
Circle prospect.
Okay, right, we door knock before and after, okay? Last year we listed 2 homes on door knocking, okay? I like to get in front of people, okay? A lot of this cold calling that you do, you know, I suppose it works, okay? You calling out people, you know, but you have to do something, okay, to lead generate, okay? Whether it's you're doing follow-ups, where you call in your database, you need to lead generate, period. That should be in your DNA, it should be, that's our business, that's what we're in. That's what you should be focused on.
So you said you do not after the open house, what's the purpose, what do you
Just,
tell me?
well, once it's sold.
He said before and after, so I was
Yeah.
asking
Yeah.
maybe about open houses.
Yeah, before the listing, hey, we're having an open house.
Okay,
Okay,
after
kind of-
it's sold.
Yeah,
Okay,
after
not
it's
that it was
sold.
after the open house.
Yeah, hey, we
Sorry.
just sold this house and however, you know, or this house is in escrow. You can even do it when you're pending, you know. Hey, we put this house in escrow in 5 days. You know, are you looking to buy or sell? Okay? So that's a conversation, okay, when you're not, because people they're curious about their home value, or they're curious if they've been actually thinking about selling, you know, and you come around and you just sold a neighbor's house, you know, in 3 days, they're gonna go, oh.
The thing your gut said, I was just thinking about this.
Yeah, yeah, I get that all the time. Yeah, you know, we've been thinking about selling. I get that quite a bit, okay? Whether they do it or not, you have to do your follow-ups, okay? And keep them, I put them on a mailing list, I follow up with them, okay? That type of thing. Sometimes it doesn't happen maybe until a year later. But the one thing is, this is not a cold lead. You've met that person, right? You had a face-to-face conversation with them. So you put them in your database, you follow up with them, you send them newsletters, you talk to them, okay? And stay in touch with them, especially if they said they're thinking about selling in the near future. Like I said, it could be a year or 2 down the road. You just don't know, you know, but you stay with it. So, a couple of other things. So you're going into for the listing, you can send that package out early, okay? I would advise that. I would even advise dropping off and meeting the people, especially if it's like a cold or a warm lead, people that you've never met before. You know, this would be, hey, I just want to give you a chance to look over my listing presentation and the comps and everything. I'll just drop the whole package off. And if they've got questions afterwards, yes, it'll save you some time when you're at the listing appointment, okay? But don't you think that's kind of an impressive way to handle it?
Yes.
You know, it's like you really care, you're not lazy, you're ready to, you know, list their home. You know?
It seems like by them getting that package, you already sold yourself at least like.
Yeah, you've already had that face-to-face,
Right.
especially if this is someone you've never seen before, right? So, couple of other things. I just want you to get this know, like, and trust in your head, because, you know, especially, you know, if you're a new agent and you haven't done a lot of deals, it's not all about, you know, this mega agent, you've done 1 million transactions, you're, you know, high volume, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's about the know, like, and trust. That's most important to people, okay? They want to like you, trust you, okay, and know you. One of the other things, I just took a listing, in fact, we put it into escrow like 3 days later, on Q12, this gal named Kathy. This is a long one, okay? Do you think, you know, I just told you might have met these people and a year later sometimes they come to you. This lady, she was a referral, what I can remember, she was a referral when I first started in the real estate business in 2006, okay? Well, what happened in 2006, 2007? Market crashed, right? I couldn't give her house away. I put it, I mean, this was a listing for me that I worked very hard. Couldn't give her house away, right? Finally, the listing expired, you know, and we kind of went our separate ways. It was her mom's house. She inherited it, right? So the 12 years I've been sending her newsletters, for some reason, I never got her phone number. Okay, I couldn't even call her, okay? But I sent her mailings twice a month, like clockwork, for twice a month for 10 plus years. I think it was 2007. She called me in December, she wanted me to list her house.
Relist it again.
Relist it, okay? She could have gone with any other agent, but when I went to meet with her,
She gave you
she
a-
goes, you know what, Mike? The reason you got this listing is because you followed up for 10+ years. I mean, I probably didn't make much money on it, all the mailings I sent her, right? And the cost of it, but I got the listing and I sold it.
Well, you sent it with the post office.
Yeah, I had the address, but I never got the phone number. In fact, I went on
Oh, you didn't have an email?
different sites to try, I didn't have her email.
Oh, wow.
So for 10 years?
So, but anyway, then here's another one. I just want to get that across. This is really important.
10 years.
I went to this guy, this was a year ago, up in Rancho Vista. Met this guy, sometimes you can tell just by the name, okay? His name was Jens, okay? And I go, okay, this is either Dutch, German, or something, right? Well, I'm German. I lived in Germany, lived in Frankfurt for like 12 years, okay? So, we started talking, I put my listing presentation down, we started talking. This was a referral, okay, but he was actually interviewing 4 other agents, okay? And you always want to get in first in the door. I'm telling you, get in first.
He was German?
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, he was, but anyway, you want to be in first, because if you're second, third, or fourth, a lot of times,
They shut down.
they shut down, right? Because they don't want to go, sometimes they don't want to go through this process. Okay, I've got to listen to this guy, go through his stuff, his spiel, right? So anyway, I talked to him, and I find out he's German, and we have a connection, right? Because of that, and I insisted, I said, can I come over right now? And I had everything ready, and be prepared to be, go immediately. So I went into his house, we have a discussion, tells me his mom was German. I figured out he was German, at least half, right? But he was in the service, he was a Marine, so anyway, so don't just go into your listing appointment just by doing your presentation. Talk about your family. I have a resume that I give, okay? And I talk about, hey, let me just tell you a little bit about myself, okay? And that kind of a lot of times spurs them on to talk about themselves, right? We got in a conversation, and he tells me, yeah, my mom was German, and I've been there, and blah, blah, blah. And and I went through the whole presentation. I said, well, are you ready to list with me? He says, Mike, I feel like we've made this connection. He says, I can't go with anybody else. I'm going to list with you. He says, I'm going to call all the other agents. So he didn't even want me to call him. He says, no, because I offered. He says, no, I'll call him. I said, I'm going to list with you, but I feel like this bond, this connection because of that, okay? So you learn from those experiences, okay? A lot of times you want to get in on these listing appointments, you want to go through your spiel and boom, 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 and you're out the door and you don't get the listing, you wonder why. Because you made absolutely no connection with the people.
Personal business.
Hey, what do you ask for your commission? 3, 2.5, depends on.
I would say my commission's 6%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but when you kind of go, and there's some ways we can handle that, and we'll talk about this. Okay, there's ways you can handle it. I always go 6%. Okay, there's some people that have objections to that immediately, and other people they just go right through it, right? So, and I tell them too that I am the listing agent. I've got skin in the game. I'm going to advertise your property. Okay, I'm going to put the money out. Buyer's agent doesn't put any money out other than gas money and their time. Okay, so I'm going to take 3.5. The other guy's 2.5. It's still the same amount of money, 6%. And sometimes they have objections. Okay, sometimes you just, I've shot myself in the foot a few times by just sticking with the 6, and I got nothing. Okay, I didn't get the listing because it just depends on the person. Some people
So you
negotiate
want to
that.
negotiate?
Yeah, I negotiate. Sometimes I'll split it with them. I'll say, hey, well, what about 5? So, you know what? I'll split with you. I go 5.5, and if I bring in the buyer, I'll drop another 0.5%, and then you get your 5. Okay, so you can go that way. Or, what I thought about, I usually do it on paper when I'm there. I kind of break down the commission form. Okay, here's the $10,000 commission that you're gonna pay me, okay? Well, 10,000 off of that, gotta pay Uncle Sam, right? I'm paying him 30%, pretty much.
And the man,
Right?
office fee.
Yeah, office fee, 20-30%.
yep,
Marketing, 30%.
20,
After,
whatever,
after that, what's left?
not much.
Okay?
Right, it's
So-
like driving Uber.
Yeah, so when you kind of break it down, a lot of times you can get past that just with that. So what you should do, and I thought about it, I usually do it pencil right then and there. You can actually have a sheet, and I have a listing presentation book, okay? I used to print this out, and I go, I thought about this the other day, well, this is stupid, I'm printing the same stuff out every time. Let's just have it done, have it in color, you know, instead of racing back to the office, printing all this. Sometimes I'll have 2 listing appointments the same day, you know, and just spending all this time, you know, printing stuff, you know? So what I did, I put it together, I put a marketing plan together, okay, with bullet points. Here, and get back to the commission, maybe you break down, average, let's say you put the $10,000 commission, and you then start itemizing the fees and how much you actually end up with. You can kind of go follow down with that way. When you're with them, you can kind of explain it better, and you don't get confused. Or sometimes when you meet new people, you get a little nervous, and
You can kind of do one of those T, you know,
yeah,
with the
exactly.
price on the
So
side.
break it down for them. Backside, I have my resume. Okay. So important thing, resume. Remember what I talked about? Know, like, and trust. Okay. This is conversation that you really need to. That's how you need to start. Okay. After, and we'll take a step back when you knock on the door and go in and look at the house, okay? I put in the advertising in color. This is what it's gonna look like, this is what I do. Sign, I put QR codes and what that does, okay? And kind of give them pictures. Here's mailers around your neighborhood, just listed, okay? Facebook, okay, discuss how Facebook works, how you can target certain areas, certain demographics, ages, zip codes, okay? There's a lot of companies that'll do that for you. You can do it on your own, okay? Keller Williams site, okay? My own website, okay? So your database that you're gonna market to.
I have a question about website. Is it really important to have something that stands out and it's?
You know, I honestly, I have always used the Keller Williams site. It's free for you to use, it's updated. Yeah, my listings automatically go, already feed to that. So, really, you know, everybody, there's been a lot of marketing studies on websites, and everybody says the same thing. Don't put a bunch of crap on there. People want to go there, what? Do what? Search. They want to know you and search. What is Google? When you go to Google, what's there? Google search. That's it, right? I mean, some people want to advertise and do all kinds of other stuff, but so you want to keep it simple. I use the Keller Williams website. There's people that paid a fortune for having their website built. I use that one. It's pretty much done good for me.
How long do you take the listings, and then when did you start using a presentation book?
From day one, presentation book, I used to call it my brag book. I changed that because when I started really realizing people don't really care how much business you've done, it becomes more of a know, like, and trust book, you know? Like, just giving them information. And what was the other question?
How long is your listing agreement?
4 to 6 months. Usually I try to get 4-month minimum, 6-month, because you figure average day on market could be 60 days, escrow's another 60. What's that? 4 months right there, right? Pretty much. So I try to get 6 months.
You don't do a year or try to lock it down?
Usually with land listings, I'll do a year.
You do land?
Yeah, yeah. I have 6 or 7 land listings, but they're slow, so they're gonna take a while.
Unless you're in California.
Pardon me?
Unless you sell in California City right now.
So anyway,
License.
Yeah.
So other sites would be linked, so any other social sites where you get information on people, okay? The other thing, when you make the appointment, what should you be asking the seller? One of the most important things.
Their motivations for selling.
Well, that's good, and are both decision makers there?
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted, and I completely slipped my mind, I go to this listing, yeah, I wanna sell it, but my wife's not here. I forgot to even ask, right? Now I'm trying to get a hold of the guy, and I could've had pretty much everything done. Or, maybe the wife's not even on board. Gotta have 2 signatures, right?
Yeah.
Be wasting a lot of time.
So, I have, a lead who wants to sell his house, and I've actually talked to him, and he's like, yeah, this is something I wanna do. But I've had all 3 of his children call me and tell me to like back off of their father, like I'm trying to steal his house from him or something like that. So I'm just wondering, like, in this situation, I don't know, like, I think he's like 68 years old, but that's not old. And he can make
Is he
decisions.
mentally right, you know that? Or
Yeah, I
you
mean-
talk to him?
When I talk to him, he doesn't seem like he's not mentally right, but I don't know what that would sound like, I guess. So, I don't know, but his children haven't said he has mental issues or he's not well or anything. They're just like, he doesn't actually want to do this.
So maybe you go over and not even going there to list his home, just have a meeting with him and kind of get some input. And once you see the house and maybe see him and start, you know, one-on-one, you're gonna probably get a lot more information. Does this guy really, you know, maybe doesn't have all his marbles, you know, who knows, you know? But maybe just have a meeting with him. That would be a non-threatening way, maybe and take somebody with you.
Yes.
I would say, along with what you said and she said, as far as mental competency, once you go into the house, if you start seeing things that kind
It
of.
could be a hoarder, you can have boxes wall to wall. I mean, you just don't know, but like I said, be safe and take somebody with you, you know? But yeah, then you have that meeting and you can kind of establish what's going on, you know? and Will it be either the right thing or the wrong thing to do, right? So anyway, I'm knocking on the door. Here, now, if you heard the guy say, there's 2 different thoughts here. You come in, you introduce your handy card, hey, I'm here to have a listing appointment with you at 2 o'clock. What kind of, how should you be prepared to be in, to go to a listing appointment? Let's talk about the physical. Okay. What about time?
The way you're dressed, but at least you're professional, you're presenting the company properly, you're presenting you.
Right.
Don't go with those new jeans.
Don't go with flip-flops,
No jammies.
shorts, ball cap on, you know, come neatly groomed, brush your teeth, you know, that type of stuff, right?
I know.
This guy here said, and I've heard 2 different versions, in fact, Diana Picosa, who's in MAPS coaching, says she doesn't want to walk the house with the seller.
Really?
She wants to walk the whole thing herself. Say, hey, I want to see the home. Has anybody else heard that?
Yes, in the eyes of the seller.
At the eyes of the buyer, right?
Yeah.
What did this guy say?
He wants to wear that.
Yeah. What do you think would be the right way to go?
Walk with them.
To me, it would kind of be, okay, you're in a strange home. Never, the first time meeting these people, stay right there. I want to see the house, eyes of the buyer, and I'll look around myself. To me, I couldn't do that, okay?
Right, if something disappeared, then they ultimately.
And I also want to get some input, some information on the home, right? You want to know, you know, if there was any problems in the past, some of the upgrades that you might not see, because people love to talk about themselves or what they have, right? Their home. So they're going to give you information. So to me, that's what I do. I'm not saying either one is right or wrong, but that's what I would do.
Take notes, and at the same time, while you're looking at the house, you can, let them know, okay, these are the things that a home inspector is gonna catch, so it's better to prepare the house before we put it on the market.
Yep.
You know, they can get their own home inspector, they can get the repairs done, because this way it'll be less expensive than when the report comes in, because the report is gonna ask for more money to fix things.
Right.
Too much.
Again, decision makers, you should have that up front, both of them are there, okay? And then, obviously, you know, you tour the house with them to get input, okay? So here's some good questions, okay? Remember what I talked about, that relationship type? So on page 14, I think you guys have that, right? That's the same thing I got. Here's some good intro questions. I would definitely, you know, kind of give some history, kind of put your resume out there. You know, you don't have to read it word for word, but tell them where you're from, what you've done, what your experience is, you know. But here's some, how did you hear about me? Where are you moving to? Here's some good questions, you know, kind of break the ice, you know, to talk to the seller, okay? All right, the other thing, showing
Over
the,
the phone thing.
pardon me?
This is like more over the phone.
Yeah, but these are still good questions to ask while you're there.
This is Mike.
Yes.
Out of these 11, any particular ones that you always go to, that you always touch on?
Well, I definitely want to know their motivating factor and where they're moving to. One, you know, could be a good chance for a referral, right? If you're going somewhere else, they haven't found another agent. I've done that many times, you know. Well, we're moving to Jersey, or we're moving to New York, we're moving to Denver. You've got a whole network of Keller Williams agents, you know, you can get the best agents in that neighborhood. Why not get another 25% if you can, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you ask how much they want to live their house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Those are some good conversation, you know. One of the big things I'm always asked is, well, would you take the listing, let's say the house is only worth $350 and they want it $400,000. Would you say, no, I'm not gonna list your house because, would you? There's people that, when I was first in real estate, I got kind of burned a couple times, you know. I would tell them, this is your, I didn't say, no, I won't take your listing, but I told them, try to tell them the truth about what their home is worth with the comps, okay? And they, you know, she was pretty adamant, well, I think I can get this much for it, you know, kind of disagreeing with me, and I kind of disagreed with her. Well, this is what it shows. I ended up not getting a listing. Somebody else took the listing, okay? But guess what? It sold for what I thought. Because you want to get your foot in the door, you want to get a signature, right?
Question about that. Do you think it's okay to go in the listing appointment with your CMA and actually show what's in the market and
Absolutely.
pictures, where they themselves see what's out there and decide what their house will be worth? Because a lot of people, they haven't seen what's out there, so if you see show them the picture, then you have a better chance of coming to an agreement.
There's really good tools. You can
So it's
run
okay to do that, right?
you can run a CMA. You know, obviously, most of you done CMA out of Flex, right? You guys all done that? Okay. I usually, does everybody know how to do a CMA properly? What I usually do. Pardon me? Yeah, get yourself educated and make sure you know. I usually, like, I'll do a radius search around the property, especially on a tract home. Okay, there's different ways of doing it. But on a tract home, I usually do a mile radius around the property. Okay, and then I'll thin it down based on year built, you know, square footage, lot size, you know, those type of things. Based on how much information you're getting, you have to kind of look at that, you know.
One thing, when I'm talking to my client before I do, you know, the listing presentation, I ask them then right on the phone how much you think their house is worth before I even get there. This way you can build your case.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I just recommend that if there is a disagreement on price, just kind of keep it to yourself. You know, because if you're not,
Yeah.
if they don't think you're on board with the price, you're probably not gonna get the listing,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, we did one a couple of days ago, and we ran the counts. We saw it was about 485. We left there agreeing to list it, you know, for $599. She called me back a day later. She wants to list it for $620. I said, okay. You know.
Sometimes these sellers have to see it for themselves.
Yeah.
You know, you got no showings, and that's when you revisit and get price reductions, you know? But at least you have something to work with. If you didn't get the listing, you got absolutely nothing, right? So you wanna get that signed, and then I would definitely start working on price reduction. But make sure that you're showing the seller that here's what we're doing to sell and market your property. Okay, don't just say it's not selling, we're not showing it, it's not happening, right? You need to show them that you're trying, but this is what, and then other input from other agents sure does help, right? Open houses, the few showings you do have, get input. And most of the agents, you know, some of them, you know, you kind of pull teeth to get any kind of input, but I always try to get as much information from visitors, you know, from other agents, you know, and they'll tell you if it's priced way too high, okay, or needs work, or yard's too small, or, you know, whatever the case may be, okay, they're gonna tell you, you need to take that information and start feeding it to the seller, okay, so they know what's going on.
If you're marketing it, what, 2 weeks, 4 weeks before you kind of figure out whether it's overpriced?
Yeah, I would say at least minimum 2, up to a month, maybe, 2 weeks. You're gonna kind of see, if you got absolutely no showings in 2 weeks,
Or no
and it's a
calls.
seller's market,
Yeah.
okay, we got a problem, you know? But, again, you got a signed contract too, right? So we're mentally prepared. The other thing I want to stress, not only the physical, but be on time, in fact, be early, okay? Because that's gonna tell a lot to the seller, okay? If you show up there 10 minutes late, okay, your chance of getting that listing, you know, are gonna be a lot slimmer. For sure. Yeah, so let's see. We're getting ready to list. What will sell for it? The 5 factors affecting value of property on page 17. Reason, sales, location, condition, competition. Okay, condition. I mean, I've walked into some train wrecks. Okay, I mean, stop.
I've been one.
Would you list it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The property is.
Yeah, if it's so bad that you don't think you can sell it, you can always work around. Of course you would list it, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you walk into listings where these things are train wrecks and the seller is oblivious to a train wreck, you know?
Means a cluttered mess.
Cluttered mess, stinks, cats running, dogs urinating, you know, I mean, what do you do about that? What do you do?
Underwear in bathroom.
After you get the listing,
Oh, yeah.
then you go through what needs to be done. How, you know, what we
Give them
need
a
to do to
list.
sell it.
We turned, I just sold this house on Elsick, put it in escrow about a week later. This guy was actually, he had 2 Rottweilers in the house, and they allowed that dog to urinate all over the house. It stunk, right? Never cleaned it, it needed to be painted, had no closet doors,
It's a
blah, blah,
doghouse.
blah. So obviously, that type of stuff, you know, because there's a fine line, okay? If this thing needs a lot of work, you're inviting investors in, and what are investors gonna do?
They're gonna learn.
Oh yeah, they're gonna go 50. This one is an escrow for $255,000. Okay, it's only 1,100 square feet. It's a court sale on a quarter acre. It's an older home, but if we'd have left it the way it was, I'd have been lucky to get an offer.
175.
Yeah, it's probably between the 175 to 200 range, probably. Okay, so I told the seller, okay, here's what we need to get done. And it's all about, at that point in the game, it's all about sweat equity, okay? Unless, you know, like he had tile floor, so we're able to clean it pretty good. It still smelled a little bit, but he did something, and a few days later I walked in, you couldn't even smell anything.
About 10 grand is what price.
Yeah, but anyway, he went in, hired somebody to paint the entire house.
Oh, wow.
Okay, on the inside, I told him he hired a gardener because there's about 14,000 square foot lot. It was all, you know, dead grass, and he cleaned all that up. Okay, he probably dropped maybe $5-6 grand, but you know, with the painter and everything else. Okay, but he probably saved himself $40,000 to $50,000, right? Just doing that. Okay, when it doesn't do any good is when you need cabinets, countertops, walls. You know, I mean, you can drop a lot of money in these places. Okay, sometimes you don't get your money back. Okay, you're almost trading dollars.
I sold a house up in Cal City, and it was nice oak, and he went down to Home Depot and got some brown paint, spray paint,
Yeah.
and it actually looked pretty good. It wasn't great, but
Yeah.
you know, it was definitely done for $30.
Okay. Yeah. So there's things you can do, right?
You can also do that 203K.
Rehab.
Yeah. There you go.
No, I just did one yesterday. Yeah, because we first went into it, they loved the property, but he had an FHA loan approval, you know, pre-qual, and it was cash and conventional. So he really wanted it, and I said, you know, so we got a lender, their lender couldn't do it, so we used Troy, ours, and he put it together, so we're able to put in the offer.
All right. I'll tell you what. I think we haven't taken a break yet. A little Q&A at the end too. So write down any questions while we're done. Well, thank you for closing that door. Okay, so we're in the door. We walk the house. We will make sure that both decision makers are there. Where do you think we should be discussing this whole listing presentation?
Kitchen table.
Yes. You know, I've made the mistake before. I sat in the living room on a couch, laying back, and you can't do anything that way. You got to get somewhere like a small table where the decision makers are there, and you can show your material. Okay, you do a proper presentation. So, because sometimes, you know, the sellers say, "Oh, let's go sit over here in the living room. You know, is there any way we can sit, you know, at the kitchen table or dining room table or something?" Okay, so make sure you're doing that. Okay, so you can properly do that
It could be in the
presentation.
dining area, it doesn't have to be in the kitchen, just. like
Right, just a
and
table like this
chair.
where
Okay.
you guys are all sitting, you know, straight up, not leaning back, not in the recliner.
Oh, they can take it now.
Watching the football game.
So, I know that a lot of times these sellers, they want, what's the most important information that they would want?
But they're gonna be shocked with it.
Yep, exactly. They want to see the comps right off the board, okay? I would try, if possible, I mean, it's not a written rule, but I would try to get in and do your listing presentation, what you're going to do. First of all, remember, you're going to talk about yourself, okay? If you can't remember, you know, just write down the steps, but you want to talk about yourself to build that rapport, okay? Hey, this is my family, kids, grandkids, these are my hobbies, I'm a member of this, and I do this, that type of thing, okay?
We can talk about all that.
Right, yeah, you want to create a rapport, something where maybe they have something in common with you. You want to be able to establish that relationship. Because if you go straight into a relationship, it's going to be kind of cold. Okay, you're going to go in, do your listing presentation, you're going to do the comps, and you're pretty much out the door. You've had no connection with the people whatsoever. Okay, sometimes you can't. I mean, you can have some people that are like stone face, that have no comment, right? What do you do with those people?
Keep
Any
going.
ideas?
Ask ask
You
her.
had that question? I've had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact,
And they're just saying like yes or no.
yeah, and they're like, they have no expression in their face, no smile, no, it's pretty difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes you can stop and say, hey, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Or something.
You gotta try to
Break
lighten up
ice.
the mood
Yeah.
somehow, right? The guy from Party World, wow, you know, I mean, and even through the whole process, when I knew he was the manager of Party World, and I said I was a manager at Albertson Supermarket, and we had that report, he was still like, yes, no, you know, no, just nothing to say, right? So, but anyway, I would say 95% of the time it's not gonna be like that, okay? But there will be a time, but you just need to, don't let that intimidate you, because that'll get you nervous and you stumble over your listing presentation, okay? You just wanna get that out of there, right? Anyway, you know, you spend all that time preparing, you wanna you put your best foot forward to get the listing presentation, right? So, anyway, so I go through my marketing after I kind of establish before, hey, let's go through the marketing plan together. This is what I'm gonna do for you, okay? So, who here is a member of QuizNet or Czar? Money well spent. That's one of your marketing pieces, right? Not only are you a member here at Gabar, but you're also a member down there. That kind of opens up a whole other arena, doesn't it? You know, especially for advertising.
Association of Realtors.
And
On the MLS, you know.
yeah, so that's a thing that you can put out there because a lot of realtors aren't. You know?
Some of the listings that are sold here, they're only on QuizNet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I notice, what's on QuizNet a lot of times are agents. Obviously, they're not part of our board, okay? But they're local listings. They don't want to spend the money to be part of our board, okay? It might be relatives, friends of the realtor down there, or even just people they got listing, you know, that are down here. But I mean, I do some business in the LA area, but to be honest with you, I'm by no means an expert, you know, in Simi Valley or anywhere else. Wherever, you know, I sold one in Chatsworth last year, but I'll drive all day long for $1 million sale. Right. It was, I think, $28,000 commission check, I believe it was, or 25. But it was nice, right? So, but anyway, so the objection there would be, you know, a lot of people that you might get someone, hey, would you sell my house in Simi Valley? You know, and they find out, well, you know, you live in Palmdale. You know what the obstacles are, right?
You don't know the area.
What if you just on the regional MLS? The regional MLS. What if you just on the regional MLS?
Just on QuizNet, you talking about?
No, yeah, when you're talking about QuizNet, in order to be, you know,
Well, there's,
information down below.
right.
And I was just asking, what if you were on the regional MLS?
Right. Well, I mean, I always would think both MLSs are best to have, if possible, you know? So you're talking about QuizNet or Czar, right?
Well, I just know it's the regional MLS.
That's what it is.
Flex MLS or whatever.
Well, that's
Flex-
what the Gabar is here,
Yeah.
but then the regional MLS,
Yeah.
you know, down.
Yeah,
below.
Southland Regional.
Right.
Okay, that's QuizNet.
Oh.
They get like 3-4 names for it.
Oh, I-
That's what I know, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it would be best to have both
Oh, no
access
doubt.
to it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, half the listings here seems like now are regional MLS.
I sold a house last year, and it was because I sold their parents' home here in Palmdale. I got the listing. It was in Valencia, 1,800 square foot house with a pool in Canyon Country, and I sold for like in 3 days for $620,000. You know, and you know, they liked the job I did with him on Palmdale, but you know, you're going to run over that obstacle if you have that lead or that listing. That you might be, you know, listing the house in Valencia or Chatsworth or Northridge, or because you're not local, you're here, right? That could be an obstacle, right?
Is it true that now they're gonna merge throughout California, all MLS by next year?
We've got our
We will
one
only have
probably.
one?
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
They should.
I don't think that'll happen.
No, God doesn't want much of that.
Yeah, there's money in all that, right?
Yeah, and then we get.
Okay.
It's only gonna be money.
So anyway, go through the marketing plan and talk about what I'm actually gonna do for them, you know? And like I said, there's different ways you should have a package together, okay, of something that you're gonna present. A marketing plan, you know, with bullet points, kind of like I have, but does anybody else have something that they use?
I know, well, I mean, like that.
So I don't see a whole lot of hands going up. You're creating one? Okay, just, you know, when you're going into a listing appointment, you've got to have, you know, if you're part of a team, usually they have that, you're part of the Burton team, right? I'm sure he has that, right? So, yeah, you want to have something put together, okay? Because they want to know what you're going to do to sell their home, right?
I just take my information about myself.
Yeah, that's pretty much a different chapter, it's like a resume, okay? Here's some ideas, okay? To multiple listing service. And remember, those are linked to like over 300 different websites. You know, when you put it in the MLS, all of a sudden it shows up on Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com. I mean, there's just, you know, Redfin. There's all kinds of different sites it feeds out to. Well, they need to know that, right? Some of that stuff is free for you. You know, Zillow and Trulia, they don't charge you anything. I mean, I actually pay Zillow, you know, for lead generating, and also I'm able to upload video tours on Zillow, but everything comes at a cost. I mean, it's not cheap, okay? I think Zillow, I'm paying like $1,200 a month, you know? And there's some people, I know Steve Burton, I bet he drops $2,000-3,000 on Zillow, because I see him on the thing. He's actually above me, 1 or 2 steps from West Palmdale. But advertising is expensive. Somebody had?
Does it help you to advertise on Zillow? Do you get hits as a result?
I get leads from Zillow. You know, it's a small percentage. Usually, like, out of 100 leads, you might get maybe 1 to 3%, you know, maybe, okay?
As far as
But-
conversion rate?
Pardon me?
The conversion rate?
Yeah.
Like,
But
how
one-
many leads they will give you a month for that amount?
Depends.
Based on West Palmdale, it's about 30 to 50 leads, I think.
Per month?
Per month,
Leads like Candy is a really
But
good
that's
source,
about
lead source too, and they're not very expensive.
Well, the cost keeps going up, you know, because
Easy buyer.
you
Leads
could
like
put
Candy or
$100
Easy Buyer.
down and be like in 20th position in the pecking order, you know, as far as I mean, you're not gonna be seen.
So
Okay.
are those leads also sent to, for example, to another
Multiple
agent,
agents,
the
yeah.
same leads?
Yep.
Could be, yes, and also, like, your number will be advertised, like the top 5, top 10 agents, you know, their phone number's there, you can pick the agent, you know. Sometimes they change that all the time, sometimes they had it on a revolving type of thing, you know.
You gotta act on them right away.
Yeah. You know, unfortunately, and I've heard Steve say, answer your freaking phone.
Yeah.
I've heard, you know, and I mean, I get that because a lot of times I'm in doing something, but even if I don't get the phone, like immediately I call back. You're paying for these leads.
I know, I just lost 2 leads being
Yeah.
here today.
Yeah, you should have ran at
I
it.
should have, but you know, I turned off my phone, I looked at it, I said, oh, I missed it.
So it's like, it's probably between $6 and $10 per lead or more, you know.
Down in LA is 200 a lead.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of realtors coming up this way. They're showing clients homes up here, okay? They really are.
Door knocking
We should,
over there,
yeah, we should be, you know, this is our area, man. You gotta take care of it, right?
That's right.
So answer your phone.
So the money is worth it that you pay to Zillow and,
Zillow?
I throw that around all the time. I think if you're gonna do any business, if you're gonna do, you know, if I'm gonna sell 100 transactions, I gotta be part of Zillow. It's just, you know, it's, I think
Pays for
it's a
itself,
wash.
right?
You know, probably a wash, or I might make some money out, you know. The most money I make, honestly, is gonna be on my Sphere, my database, okay? That's where I make the money. That's where the bread and butter lies. And if you look at the MREA book, you need to track your leads. Like, you know, when you convert, when you sell, when you close, better know where that's coming from, because by the end of the year, or like my coach, 6 months, a year, he wants to know every lead, where it come from, you know, the ones that are converted. I mean, I have a system, a CRM right now, that tracks all the leads that comes in there, and you're able to call and email and text out of there, but it tracks every lead, so I know where everything is coming from, and when I convert it, when it closes, I know which one I close, and at the end of the year, I look at it and go, okay, I closed 6 from Zillow, 40 from the database, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I'm able to track that. If I get something, okay, and I always try something new every year, okay, just to kind of experiment, right? I give it at least 6 months. If it doesn't work, it's history, right? So.
What was last year you did new? And then what's this year?
Okay, last year I got Google search. I'm doing Commissions Inc. And that's at the drop of $2,300 a month.
23.
That comes with a full CRM.
Oh, but
all the leads come in. Okay, I do have a lender partner, so try to get. Now, it's hard to get a lender partner unless you've established some success.
Okay.
Because they're not going to invest in you unless they know they're going to get some money in return, right? I mean, I wouldn't give you $1,000 every month, whatever, right? If I knew I'm not going to get anything back.
So you're doing paid SEO?
Yeah.
Okay.
So lenders are allowed to pay for the advertising part of it, not all of it, okay? But they're the exclusive lender.
And this was last year?
Right. I did Commissions Inc.
And now you're doing it again this year?
Yeah. Well, I took the cost down to almost half of that, okay, because I have a lender partner, okay? But I also have Trulia, I have Zillow, I have some referral networks, those type of things.
What about this year? What's the new?
I use a system called Agentology.
Agentology, huh?
Yeah, that's a new idea. Our MAPS coach kind of recommended that. It's an ISA, okay? It's an internet service. What does an ISA stand for? I can't even remember.
Agency?
Anyway, they make the calls. So what happens is all the leads flow into my CRM, okay? It's called Commissions Inc., okay? And they get CC'd on every email or every lead that comes in goes to Agentology. They respond back within 2 minutes. And they pretty much say, this is Casey, I'm with Team Bennewitz, how can I help you? That type of thing. You know? I mean, and they're scripted, they know their stuff. Okay?
Inside sales agent.
There you go. I always forget that. Anyway, so when I'm at 7 o'clock at night and the phone's ringing, I see it's Zillow Concierge and whatever, you know. But Zillow offers that now too. If you get a certain amount of leads, Zillow Concierge service, they have that, okay? I don't know what the cutoff is, but they actually have the ISA. They'll actually pick up the phone on your behalf, and they will switch back. The down part of that ISA with the Zillow Concierge, if you don't answer when they call you, they'll set up an appointment, okay, for the buyer or seller, and you to talk. Okay, but a lot of times, they don't want to wait till the next day to talk. They start talking to another agent.
Yep.
So you've gotta, it's like we talked about, gotta answer your freaking phone, period, right? Because if you don't, they move on to the next person. People want information now, they want it today, they don't want it tomorrow, they want it 4 hours from now, they want it right now. Okay, and if they can't, if you're not available, they'll get somebody else. You know? So
it must be
anyway,
super, like your phone must be ringing constantly then.
well, that's why I've got 2 buyer's agents, 2 assistants. I got the ISA, which is the inside sales agent. Okay, that's Agentology. It all feeds to them. They qualify them. What they do is they call them within 2 minutes. They text them within 5 minutes. They email, text, call up to 10 times. And then if there's no response, they send me back an email. Unresponsive, I put it in my CRM. And then we nurture that lead, drip.
How much is your monthly advertising budget?
Well, it's 32. Actually, I spent less. Last year, I did 470 GCI, and I probably dropped about 90,000. That's everything, office, I mean, the whole enchilada, you know. I could break that down, probably like, I would say majority of that was probably advertising.
50.
Yeah, at least minimum, maybe more, so, okay? But, I mean, would you not spend 100 grand to get 470?
Yeah.
All day long,
Yeah.
right?
20%.
I'd drop 200 to get $1 million. I'd love to do, I know Steve's done $1 million, you know?
Who's that?
Steve Burton, the team he's on. I remember when he did the REO market, 7 or 8 years ago, I remember he had like 100 listings going at all times. It was insane though, you go crazy. I don't know if I want to be that busy. I mean, it's great to get money, but you can't even live, you know.
All he wants to do is.
Pardon me?
All he wants to do is.
Oh, that's right, you're his daughter. Right? I forgot.
That's all he wants.
Didn't I meet you up at the house? I met you somewhere, right?
And,
That was the house that I was talking about earlier.
yeah, and I think I was still at, Family last year.
Okay, right, exactly. I knew you looked familiar. I think, so
It's the hair.
It's the hair. Anyway, so the other things is reverse prospecting. Okay, that means having people in the MLS, right? So what happens when something triggers? You know, they're fed the information, right? And then also, when I have a new listing, I feed it to the database. Okay, these are all things you can be talking about that doesn't cost you anything, right?
What's it called, reverse what now?
But reverse prospecting.
How does that work?
Okay, so when you put someone into the MLS, you know how it asks for contact information, okay? And what happens? They want to know, hey, I'm looking for a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, Quartz Hill area, 1,200 square feet, half acre, blah, blah, blah. You put all that in there. Something happens, they get the information, right?
Oh, so then I'll ask, yeah.
Yep. And
It makes them look like you were up at 3 o'clock looking for.
there's a lot of services you can, some are cost money, this one doesn't cost any money, okay? But you can advertise that, and this is what I'm gonna do, okay? So it's not always about the money, you know, sometimes it's, you know, going out and door knocking and handing out flyers, that doesn't cost you anything. I put that down there, we go door knock the neighborhood, you know, on your behalf. I'm gonna do an open house, I'm gonna visit every neighbor in your neighborhood, just to see if they know someone that's looking to buy, right? You can advertise that. I tell them about Realtor.com, Truly, Google search, Zillow, AdWorks placement. So this is a website thing, and this costs you money, okay? Have you guys heard of AdWorks?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's on Facebook, right?
Yeah, you can, I mean, you can see my mug on Yahoo, you can see it on Amazon, and they're actually, the way they capture, like, your information and connect me together, like if we've done any kind of email correspondence together, even on Facebook, we've done any kind of correspondence, okay, and I use them for advertising. I could show up on their website, like if they're looking at Yahoo News, all of a sudden, boom, there's my advertising with my phone number. Okay, that's what they do. And that's great stuff to show. ADWERX.
So that basically do like drips, is that what they call it?
No, it's not a drip, it's kind of like a visual, you know, when you see Amazon, it's the advertising on the side.
Have you ever like
Local
gone on
people.
Amazon and looked at like a purse and then went on Facebook and that purse was there?
There you go. Personal website doesn't cost you anything, right? QR codes. Does anybody know about that? Okay, remember I showed you the picture on the side? What that's good for is, forget the flyers, okay? Somebody wants information, even tells you, it costs $9.95 a month. You buy these riders, okay, they go on top of your sign, somebody drives by, okay, they scan or text the code, they get all that information, including
What company does
pictures.
that? Market Snapshot, or which one is it?
Give me a minute, I'll remember. But anyway, so, and it's caller ID based, so if somebody does that, I automatically get the phone number, so I can just pick up the phone and say, hey, notice you're looking at my listing on blah blah street, right? How would you like to see it? Good for buyers, right? And it's cheap, it's $9.95 a month. It might be more now, but it's still probably gonna be under $15-20 a month. Okay, and then you just, when you get a listing, you put that right down the sign. Forget the flyers. I mean, you can have flyers for when you're doing, door knocking around the neighborhood or open houses, but this is what I use. I don't put any flyers on the property. I tell them, it's better information, because flyers, half the time they're gone and it just drives you crazy. You just print them constantly. You got other things to do with your time, than dropping flyers off and doing all that stuff, right? This way you got their information if they actually want it. If they want to look bad enough, they're going to text or scan your sign.
Or
and
call
want the
you
information.
and you see
Yeah.
if they don't know
Or
what
call
that
the
is.
sign. That
Right.
would even be easier, right? But this gives them information about the listing, the price, the pictures, the description, everything they want to know.
It's like having your own
They-
MLS
Yeah,
kind of.
it's a 24-hour hotline.
Where did you say you get that QR code?
I'll get it to you in a minute. I forgot.
It's
I have it on my
QR
website.
code.
Yeah, well, it's just a thing you screw on the top of the sign. It's just a blanket sign, right? You see it at the top there? It's a good thing to have, inexpensive, right? The other thing is Craigslist, Facebook. Okay, Facebook, that's kind of inexpensive. Now you can boost your posts, okay, to get it out to more people. But I would put that, that's kind of inexpensive, okay, way of advertising their own, okay? But this is what you're gonna do, especially, I mean, I'm not a big Facebook advocate, I guess user, okay? I don't have time to sit there all day long. But some people, that's all they do, right? But that's a way to get stuff out there, right? And you can tell them that.
There are actually like really cool bots that you can use for Facebook that will interact with people for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it'll go around and it'll like you can tell them anything that has to do with their child. Go and like those things and like up to 100 people's stuff. So at least they see that you're doing it, but you're actually not doing it.
So is there a company that does it?
There's a lot of different ones. There's like little bots and things online. If you just Google like Facebook bot, then they'll show you just a bunch of little.
Google Facebook bots.
Mhm.
Okay, so there you go.
And so you don't have to do anything, but people think that you're doing something.
Oh, I gotta remember that.
There are
That's good
some that
information.
comment for you, but I don't think that that's a good idea, because sometimes the comments, like, they basically what the algorithm does is it uses a trigger word, so if the trigger word is home, it'll comment something like, if you're looking for a home, you can always get in contact with me or something, but I feel like it sounds really adsy sometimes when
Mhm.
you say the exact same thing on like 13 different people's posts. It kind of looks weird, but.
Okay. Anyway, so there you have it. There's more advertising there. Let them know that you're gonna market to your personal database of buyers and investors, okay? They need to know that. Also, there's where you can send out flyers and postcards and email top producing agents. There's actually a company as well that they'll send out to all the agents in LA County, okay? You'll put your presentations like a flyer online. I get them all the time from other agents, but you can blow that out there, to like, I don't know how many agents are in the LA area, but it goes to every agent in LA County, okay? I'll get it to you. There's two things I gotta get you guys.
Bless you.
I just have it all, like in my Google Docs, I have everything lined up. for the marketing part, so I can't, half the time I don't remember what they are, I just go to it and click, and go, right? Open house, caravan, broker opens, you guys do that? The only thing, like on broker opens, like their caravans they do, I don't know, I'm not a big advocate of that, just because a lot of these agents, and a lot of the agents that come, I mean, it's good to preview some homes, you know, on the caravan, but I noticed when I've had caravans in the past, I got agents that usually they're just looking for what the prize is for the day, you know, the drawing or the raffle or, you know, and they're not, you know, I want the producers to come, the ones that are gonna sell my property, right? So, I'm not, like I said, I haven't all done, so I can't really judge it, just what I've had in the past experience-wise. I didn't get very many top agents coming, you know. Top agents are busy, right? They're not gonna go to those things, are they?
Well, if you know them, you could send it to them directly.
Yeah. And you can do that, that's the other thing, you can do a Keller Williams blast, right? Send your listing out to everybody on YouTube. The other thing I started doing, what I talked about earlier, is multi-signs and directionals, okay? Good way to get your name out there, right? Forget about the one sign on the property, how about 3? Right?
Oh, wow, really?
Get one on the property, one on a busy street pointing that way. Maybe there's another, it's in between 2 busy streets, and put one on the other corner, right? If you can. Like I said, probably should ask for permission, you know, to put the sign. Sometimes I don't. They just tell me to move it, I'll move it, right? And get it up. I sold my neighbor's house. I live up in Question Estates on 42nd and N. And the agent before didn't do a lot of advertising. She was a friend of hers. So they said, hey, can you sell? So my wife started talking and says, we'll sell your house. We've known them quite a bit. Just, I don't know, they maybe didn't want to do business because of our relationship. We're close friends, you know. But finally says, hey, Mike, we want you to sell the house. First thing I did, I'm on Avenue N. I put a sign right on Avenue N. Thousands of cars driving by, right? Put another one on where my street, the corner of my street just happens to be my house. And I put another one in front of her house. Her husband had passed away a couple of years ago, and it's a custom built, huge home, you know. And lo and behold, I sold that sucker in 5 days, $620,000. You know, in Palmdale, 2 years ago, that's a pretty good price. You know, so. But signs work, and it helps brand your name. Okay, people are flying by, you know, they see your name. Okay, who's got all the signs out there? That's why I always wonder, you know, you
John
see,
Silva.
huh?
John Silva.
Right, but then when you go, I mean, I'm not going to mention this guy's name, but I was seeing this guy's name everywhere, right? I'm not going to mention his name. But anyway, so I go in the MLS, right? I'm thinking this guy's got to have like 50 listings because I see every corner I go, this sign is there, right? So I look, he has 8 listings, and 5 of them are in the Antelope Valley. The other 3 are like Sylmar, you know, Northridge. I'm going, and then I go to Maxi Cases, and she's got like 30 some listings, right? And I'm not even seeing a whole lot of signs of hers lately.
Right.
You know, it's kind of odd, right? So, you know, and what you think might not be the truth, right? I mean, I'm not saying that the other agent is not a good agent and he's not doing a whole lot of business, but I'm thinking, this dude is cranking. He's got like a gazillion signs. Well, what does the buyer or the potential seller think, right? Are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking? This guy is everywhere. Let's list with him, right?
What about big boards?
Billboards.
Billboards, sorry.
Well, that again, if you're doing the money, you're doing the biz, okay, then yeah, maybe I'd see that advertising. But I think all those things come at a stage, okay, at a time, okay. If you're doing $1 million a year and you can afford to throw the big billboard out there, then throw it out there, right? But if you're doing, you know, 5 closings a year, I mean,
Right.
I think,
The leverage.
but yeah, it's kind of like a steamroller, okay? You start getting busier and busier, you're doing more and more transactions, you start reinvesting some of your money. It's the old, if you look at the MRA book, it's red light, green light, okay? You know what I'm talking about on that?
What's
Right?
red green?
Green, spend, because you made money. Red, stop spending, you're not even making anything, or not enough to spend it. So you gotta play that, right? So lead with revenue, you gotta look at, that's why you need to know your numbers, you need to know where your leads are coming from. You need to know all that stuff by the end of the year, right? To be able to spend it. So how can you do red light, green light, you have no idea what you're spending on your marketing, so you gotta keep track of all that stuff. And if you don't have time, hire somebody, you know? Get somebody, okay? But you've got to lead with revenue and play the red light, green light, right? Then you can spend the correct amount of dollars. You also got, I mentioned Fort Keller Williams website. The other thing I do is a postcard with QR codes, okay? Same principle, just listed, just sold cards. You can send them around the neighborhood. Quantum Digital does that. It's easy to, I'm hooked up with them. As soon as the property's listed, I get an email the next day. All you do is click, it's gone. It takes me like 2 seconds to send postcards around the neighborhood if I wanted to.
And what company?
Called Quantum Digital. So for 100 cards, it's like $77, something like that. Okay, and it blankets around that neighborhood, okay? And you can do more. You can go into their website and do 200 or 300 or 400 cards.
What's the name of the company again?
Quantum Digital. The other things you guys already do, you can do cold calling around the neighborhood. Hey, I just listed this home, right? And you can tell it, I mean, actually do it. Don't just advertise or say that's part of your listing presentation. You're not going to do it, you know. And then just let them know that, you know, kind of at any stage of personal commitment, that you're going to receive communication. Kind of like that guy said, he calls them on Monday and he calls them at the end of the week. I stay in touch with people, okay? Don't go hide, and the first thing, when the property's not selling, you want to hide, you don't even talk to them, right? Because the natural tendency is, I mean, you haven't sold their property,